What's going on, friends? Logan Myers here from Cinephellas.com. And I just got past the final episode of Game of Thrones in Season 7, The Dragon and the Wolf. We have Sansa and Arya kind of going back and forth, and they're really cautious of one another. In this episode, Sansa brings in Arya into the Great Hall, and it's like she's questioning her. And it turns out Sansa's not talking to her little sister Arya, she's talking to Littlefinger himself, Peter Baelish, Lord Baelish. When Sansa's, asking these questions, she's actually, directing these towards Littlefinger, and it's about fucking time. And Sansa asks Littlefinger, how do you answer these charges? And he's like, trying to beg for forgiveness and, saying that he didn't do it. And good old Arya with her dagger, comes out and slices and dices his throat. All I can say is, I'm like, thank fucking God. I hated Littlefinger. He was a conniving, manipulative little fuckhead, and I'm glad he's finally gone. And the way he went out was epic. And the more important aspect of this episode was at the Dragon Pit. We have Cersei, Jaime, you have Tyrion, you have Jon Snow, Daenerys, Brienne, the Hound. I mean, the whole gang is together to discuss what is happening out there. And we have all the characters sitting around at this dragon pit while Daenerys shows up, fashionably late on the dragon, of course. And she kind of sits down and, Cersei snarls at her. She's all pissed off like always. But the whole point of this meeting was to discuss the Whites and the Great War, as to, it's not about the families and the kingdoms anymore. It's about them versus the White Walkers. So none of this bullshit and drama, put it all aside, because it makes no difference against the Whites. They're coming to kill them, and they don't fucking care what family they are in. And they're really adamant about getting a White to prove to Cersei that these things exist, even though we all know they do, but she needs this proof. So in the Dragon Pit, the Hound brings out this crate on his back, and he lets it out, this White out, and it just runs right at Cersei, super close to her face, and she actually looked frightened for the first time throughout the entire show. She's like, holy shit, yes, these are real. It was to prove a point that this is a great war and nothing else matters. So there's her living proof, but Cersei, I don't think she doesn't care, especially in this episode. She's like, well, who cares? They can fight these White Walkers, but we'll take the leftovers. And we finally got the brothers reunited again, and it feels so good. You have the Hound and the Mountain, eye to eye. I was waiting for this big brawl between the two brothers, but it didn't happen, so I was a little disappointed with that. And Cersei's not too fond of this idea of going to war against the Whites and helping the other families out that have been their enemies for thousands and thousands of years. And Jaime wanted to keep his promise to help to stop this war and to basically finally take out the White Walkers. And Cersei's like, no, we need to conquer the land. It doesn't matter, the land will not be there. And we have good old Sam back on this episode. He shows up and is talking to Bran, old paralyzed, three-eyed raven Bran. We finally find out some pivotal information, some confirmation of old Jon Snow. And while Bran is talking to Sam, he looks back and sees a vision of a young Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark getting married. It was not all about him raping her. They were actually in love, and through this vision he could see that and see who Jon Snow really is, and that is Aegon Targaryen, the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark. Holy shit. But the more important aspect of this, he is heir to the throne. Yes, because being a Targaryen, he is heir to the throne. This is going to cause some conflict with him and his newfound girlfriend Daenerys. And it's going to stir some feathers. And while Bran is narrating this whole sequence of Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark getting married, and back in the past, we have Jon Snow banging his old aunt Daenerys. Yes, that's his aunt. It's a little fucked up, but it's Game of Thrones, Family members always sleep with family members in the show, and it just makes sense, right? More importantly, my favorite part of the entire episode of The Dragon and the Wolf is the final third act. And this episode was an hour and a half long, the longest episode of Game of Thrones to date. And not to mention, it had the highest ratings ever. So, they're going to go out with a bang. So we're up at the wall, and you have Tormund and Beric up at the top, scouting out, checking everything out, making sure nobody's trying to get past the wall. But what happens? the whites show up, of course. And they're like creeping right up to the wall, and they stop and they look up at the sky, and you hear the dragon. And they're like, holy shit, the dragon's back. What the fuck's gonna happen? So you see the dragon, Viserion, come back from the dead with his blue eyes, soaring through the air. And of course, on the back of the dragon is the Night King. But as you have Viserion soaring down to the wall, you see it start to blow what looks like ice. It's all blue, and that's what I predicted in my last review. And you see the wall starting to crumble and basically just collapse. At the top, you're like, Tormund and Beric were like, holy shit, the walkers are here, so they take off, but you don't see where they go. So I'm guessing they're dead because most of the wall is pretty much gone. So this brings up a lot of questions. What will the final season of Game of Thrones, what will it reveal? Because there's so many questions out there we don't have answers for. But, the final season is going to go out with a bang. It's not coming back till 2019. I'm deeply saddened we have to wait that long for the final episodes of Game of Thrones. But I know they're gonna make it the best yet. So no questions are asked. This episode was excellent. Probably one of the best episodes of the season. I'm going to give the dragon and the wolf a 5 out of 5 dragon pieces. What'd you guys think? What'd you guys think of the final episode of Game of Thrones? Were all the questions answered? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button right there. This is Logan Myers, signing out from the shambles of the wall. Oh, it's gone, but never forgotten. Until next time, cheers!